Today I saw Little Women and I just wanted to give some brief thoughts about it. I wouldn't say this is so much a review as it is a reflection of the movie and my experience with it. Hello, I am in a different outfit and on a different day. I just wanted to put this in here before I posted the video that it will contain spoilers for a 150-year-old-ish book, but I just wanted to warn people in case they wanted to go into Little Women totally blind not to watch this video because it does have spoilers in it. Cool. So to begin, Little Women is a story that I grew up with and that I love. It is one of the first classics that I can really remember reading. I read it in about fourth grade, and the first copy I got of Little Women was actually at a Scholastic Book Fair, and here it is. This is the first copy that I got. And this is the most recent copy I have, But we are talking about the 2019 adaptation of Little Women, directed by Greta Gerwig. I was kind of worried going into this movie because I was scared that it wouldn't resonate with me like it did when I was a child. I've come to accept that when I was younger, a lot of the media I consumed unfortunately did not have people that looked like me in it. So now that I'm older and I know about representation and I seek out representation, I was worried. I was like, am I gonna care about this? Which is maybe not ridiculous to some people, but to me, now thinking about it, it's kind of ridiculous because yes, Little Women features 4 white girls growing up in the Civil War era, but the themes of this book are pretty universal, very relatable, and I'm happy to say that I feel the same way about Little Women that I did when I was younger, and I maybe even love it more now. So for those who don't know, Little Women is about 4 sisters, the March sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, growing up in the Civil War era. Their father is off fighting the war. They live in poverty, but they try to do the best that they can. Their mother is very warm. They have a wonderful relationship with their mother. She's warm, she's caring. Their mother reaches out to help those even less fortunate than them consistently, and it's just a coming of age story. And almost in a way, it's like you're seeing these girls from the time that they're young, about teenagers, like preteens, teenagers, to the time that they're adults. There are still a lot of themes in this book that would be relevant to girls today. I mean, there's so many things that the sisters in this book deal with, from poverty to illness to the stresses of your place in the world as a woman, and should you be married for love or should you be married for economical reasons? What's more practical? And should you even want to be married in the first place? And does not being married make you less of a woman? Which is something that the movie dealt with, I think, wonderfully. The actresses were all wonderful. They felt like sisters. It felt like I was viewing snapshots of their lives. The chemistry was great. The chemistry that they had with Laurie, who was played by Timothée Chalamet, that was great. Saoirse, she was a fabulous Jo. It's so weird because the 1994 movie is one of my favorite movies, but I might like Saoirse better than I liked Winona Ryder. I don't know yet. I can't tell. I'm sorry, Kirsten Dunst, love you. You're great. Florence Pugh is my girl. She bodied the role of Amy. I have come to appreciate Amy so much over the years because when I was younger, and when a lot of other girls were younger too, I think the girls reading this book, we were like, oh yeah, I'm Jo for sure. Definitely Jo. Maybe even Beth, but definitely Jo. And I still feel that way to a degree. I was definitely very pro Jo when I was younger. I was a bit of a tomboy. I wasn't like, the cute girl either. So I liked books. I liked writing. I liked learning. I considered myself to be a Jo. I thought Amy was annoying. I thought Amy was a brat when I was younger. And I also had some pretty messed up views of overtly feminine women. I saw that as weakness in my mind. Obviously, I don't anymore, but I did back then. I have to be honest about it. Now that I'm older, I would say that I still identify with Jo, but I also really identify with Amy. I'm very much half and half, I think, on that. But also, hold up, also Aunt March. Am I Aunt March? She says, I mean, Aunt March in the book and the 1994 movie, she makes some points in that, but she made some points in this one. There's one scene between her and Joe where Joe expresses wanting to be independent and not wanting to be married, and you can see Aunt March sympathizing with her, which is wonderful to see because you could just see that she knows where Joe is coming from and that she probably was a lot like Joe when she was younger, and that she pities her because she knows that in their society, being unmarried and working on your own and owning your own wage, it's not acceptable for a woman to do. Women are looked down on for that. It was just a very fantastic scene, wonderfully acted by Meryl Streep. Just the subtle changes in her facial expressions as Joe is talking is. I almost cried. I mean, almost. I probably did. I cried several times through this movie. This movie, I think this year has made me cry more than any other movie. Definitely more than Star Wars did. I did cry at Star Wars a little bit, but I don't think my eyes were dry through this entire movie. I just kept welling up at everything that was happening. Another positive that I had, I wish I had my notes, but I'm filming on my phone where I took them, so I'm just going off the top of my head. I really loved Timothée Chalamet in this movie. If you follow me on Twitter, I make a lot of jokes about like being really into Timothée Chalamet, and not even in a way that where I'm attracted to him. I just like appreciate the personality that he puts forth. Of course, I don't know him, so I don't know if that's how he really is, but I think he's a fine actor, and I really just enjoy him. I enjoy watching interviews with him. I think he seems like a cool person. He was great in this. I 100% have to say that I really preferred his Laurie over Christian Bale's. Not that Christian Bale did a bad job, but it was just always off-putting how, well, it wasn't even just Christian Bale. It was Winona Ryder too, and then the older sister. I think her name is Trini Alvaro. I don't know. I'll look it up. But they always seem, those three, Joe, Meg, and Laurie, always seem so much older than Amy and Beth, and it always just threw me off. Like the actors just looked a little too old to be playing those parts, if you ask me. And I really appreciated how in this film everybody that was cast looked like they were in the same age group, because the sisters are in the same age group. Like they were born right on top of each other. It always bothered me because in the 1994 movie, when they all age, Amy is replaced by a different actress. She's played by Kirsten Dunst when she's younger, and then she's replaced by a different actress during the time skip. In this movie, Florence Pugh plays her the entire way through. And I really like that, of course, because Florence Pugh and Timothée Chalamet look like they're the same age, because they pretty much, I'm pretty sure they are the same age. And it just made it way less creepy. I'm sorry, in the 1994 version, even when Amy is aged up, it still looks creepy because we saw it, maybe specifically to me, because we saw really young Kirsten Dunst Amy growing up with older looking adult looking Christian Bale Laurie, and it just threw me off. Like I always really didn't like it. And in this, even though of course they're not on the same level, the same, what do you call it? They're not on the same, I don't even know. What are words? Playing field, level? I don't know. They're just not, because of the time period and because he's a man and she's a woman. But there's no air of, I don't want to use the word predator, but there's no, like, there's no air of this, like, older man taking advantage of this younger woman because he can't be with her sister. Like, it's, that Florence Pugh's version of Amy is going to be okay. Like, she's not going to fall for Laurie's bullshit. And Laurie isn't well, he kind of is. He kind of bullshits through this movie, but she's not going to put up with it. And the Amy in the last movie, it's just, she just looks so much younger than Christian Bale. It was so distracting to me. But regardless, I loved Timothée Chalamet in this. I think Laurie is kind of a hard character personally for me to make likable. And I think Christian Bale made him likable, but I think Timothée Chalamet took it to the next level because he can be kind of irritating and insufferable. This is Editing Rachel coming to you live from my kitchen. Something that I think I left out that I really wanted to add is that I appreciated the extra scenes that we got with Amy and Laurie. I feel as if in other adaptations they get together really quickly, and it really does seem like Amy is a replacement for Jo, especially since Amy and Jo, despite being different, Jo being a tomboy, Amy being very feminine, they are, as I mentioned later, probably in this review or maybe earlier, they are both headstrong. They are very similar sisters, which I really love that they pointed that out too, how similar they are. But in other adaptations, it does feel as if Laurie is just replacing Jo with Amy. And here you really do get the sense that Laurie comes to really love and appreciate Amy as her own person. And their scenes together were some of my favorite. Honestly, at one point I said I was crying through this whole thing, but just when Amy talked about how she had loved Laurie all her life, that she had been in love with Laurie all her life, and that scene was just so good. I think I mentioned it. I can't remember. The reason I sound so dry in this is because I was half asleep. I was so tired, and then right after I filmed this, I went to bed. I didn't go to bed. I took a nap. But yeah, I really appreciated the extra scenes that we got with them. They were such a cute couple. Timothée Chalamet and Florence Pugh had such good chemistry with each other. And I did also enjoy that when Frederic came to meet the family and to see Jo, that when Laurie, I appreciated that Laurie came off more of a protective big brother than a jealous former fling. I mean, hey, I could talk about Timothée Chalamet all day, but that's what I'm not here to do. I'm trying to think of other things I like. Another thing I liked in this movie is that Beth was not this background player. Usually I think Beth gets pushed to the background a lot, and in this version of the movie, she felt just as front and center as the rest of the sisters, and I really appreciated that because it's hard to explain almost. I think it's very easy to write Beth off as a victim of circumstance, and she's supposed to be like the soft one and the quiet one, whereas Meg is the feminine one, but she still has that motherly strength about her. And Amy and Jo are the headstrong ones, even though they're on opposite ends of the spectrum, whereas Jo's a tomboy and Amy is very feminine. They're both headstrong. They are. I think Beth, she's a soft one, she's a quiet one, she's the one who still plays with dolls when she's too old to, but the way that this actress portrayed Beth, there was such a strength behind her that in all of her scenes that were just focused on her, I was just in awe. I was like, that's a bad bitch. That's a bad bitch. This movie was so good. One thing about this movie I will say is that it is shot in a non-linear fashion. So the book and previous movies, they start off young, they get old, the movie ends. This movie goes back and forth between the past and the present, so that just might be a heads up. Maybe if you know that you're not really for that, I would suggest either reading the book or watching the 1994 movie or the previous movie before that. I haven't talked a lot about that one just because I don't care about it. But yeah, that's just a heads up for that. A couple of people were asking me whether or not they should read the book before going to see the movie. I don't know what to tell you because it just depends on the type of reader you are. If you feel as if you must read the book, go in with some knowledge for the movie. There's nothing to really spoil you, so read the book. But also, if you have to read a book to get into the movie as an adaptation fails. So, listen, I'm not one of those people who think that you're stupid for not liking classics. I understand that they are hard to get into, but Little Women is pretty modern when you think about it. So I just want everybody to read it, and I want everybody to go see this movie because it's so good, and I appreciate it a lot. Thank you for taking time to watch this mini review thoughts video on Little Women. Let me know if you've read the book, if you've seen any of the other adaptations, or if you plan on seeing this one below. And I will see you again in my next video.